Beer video. It's about the hellstorm here again. Because it's October and that's when thunderstorms and 85-degree weather happen is in October because the climate is fine, Helen.
Last week it was all in the 90s, basically. Very cool, very normal in Minnesota.
Yeah, yeah.
Today was a very lovely fall day, though. It's it was leather jacket weather for me, and I appreciate that for the 2 weeks it happens before it gets too cold.
Yeah.
Well, with climate change, maybe I'll have more weeks of leather jacket weather.
Yeah.
Silver linings.
It's like I apparently after this storm tonight it's supposed to cool off so that it's gonna be like in the 60s for the rest of the week, but like next 2 weeks is still 60s and 70s, so fuck fall, it's not happening.
Guess not. Yeah. I think it's like high 60s here.
Yeah.
Yay.
Before we get to beer, I know we usually dunk on people after the beers, but I feel like I need to get this out of the way. Did you see Elon Musk at the Trump rally yesterday?
Someone did a side-by-side comparison of him doing that weird little jump move with Martin Prince bothering Nelson Muntz, and pretty accurate. Yeah, I mean he's very stupid. I have on my library holds list, I'm gonna get it in a few weeks, I think,
Mm,
the book about how by a couple New York Times reporters about how he ruined Twitter, so that should be interesting.
yeah. I
I mean,
don't understand how if you're him, how do you wake up this morning and not feel completely humiliated with you doing that in public?
heroic amounts of ketamine, so
Has to be. He's the biggest pick me I've ever seen in my life. Like just jumping around in front of a bunch of fucking fascist bitches and an audience that, you know.
yeah. So okay, do you remember that power metal band, the power metal tribute to Elon Musk? I've never been more embarrassed to be a power metal fan, frankly. And I think that we've talked about this, but the really
We have two,
are
but
the
I don't remember it.
guys in that band, or used to be, from Lords of the Trident, who I actually like.
Yeah.
I don't I don't think they put anything out in the past like 10 years or so. So they're from like kind of an era when the popular perception of Musk was like,
It was different than it is now. Yeah.
cool online genius guy
Yeah.
before he really, really embarrassed himself too much. So I guess maybe these guys all maybe they saw kind of how things were going and they were like, well, okay, maybe kind of put a fork in this one. So
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've all done embarrassing things in our lives. We
Yeah.
have all perhaps stand a regrettable public figure. Um, I personally regret everything. John Fetterman was kind of cool. Hey man, what can you do?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But at least once we realized it,
yeah, yeah.
we backed out. Also, my neighbor two doors down just put up a big Trump banner on their fucking porch. It looks like 16-year-olds decorated the front of their house. There's so much gaudy bullshit like on their property. But they're, boomer age. I mean, so they should know better, but I just saw that. I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Few doors down has that balls to the wall sign that I
Oh,
posted.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
at. And my neighbor, I think it's 3 blocks down, has the presidents are temporary, Wu-Tang is forever. So
Yeah. That's a good one.
my neighborhood is I think we're doing pretty good with political signs.
Ours is for the most part, other than that, yeah.
Yeah, we other than the two that were memorable enough to photograph, we just have a bunch of Klobuchar, Ilhan Omar, like I think all the people that are going to carry this area, especially this area of Minneapolis, which is always heavily Democratic,
Yeah.
they're like 30 points. So it feels, I kind of it may be a bit uh like we know, but sure, whatever. My
Yeah.
lady has a Klobuchar sign out in the front yard, and I'm fine with it. I don't like Amy Klobuchar very much, but
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, when her opponent is the guy saying like the wrong side won World War II. Oof.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, Amy Klobuchar was kind of a bad prosecutor and legendarily like quite personally unpleasant, but
Yeah.
when it's like between kind of a dishwater lib and a Nazi, like, well,
It's not much of a choice, is it?
all right. That's the eternal choice of American politics. I hate it so much.
Yeah. It's funny because like you just made me think of this about Klobuchar. This was God, this was 15 years ago. I went to New York City with somebody I was dating at the time, and two of her friends we met up with, for like a little bit, and they worked in the same building as Hillary Clinton, where like Hillary Clinton's offices were. And they've been around her, like, the elevators or whatever. And somebody asked them like, what's she like? And they were like, the worst. Like a total asshole, isn't nice to people. This is before she was running for president or anything, but they're just like, and they're like they were, you know, as Democrat leaning voters as you can find that are just like, yeah, she's an asshole. So I don't think that's a surprise to anybody because, even whenever she ran against Trump, it wasn't like I'm voting for her because I like her.
Yeah, no. You know, that's funny. I've heard the opposite. And like this was from my lawyer friend who has colleagues that worked with Hillary Clinton and said like apparently she's quite nice, but I can see how like maybe in different circumstances with people that aren't like professional
Yeah.
health, like
Yeah.
she's different. I have heard she's a little rude to service workers, but whatever. It doesn't matter. What I'm kind of glad her political career was more or less over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Well, I don't know about you, Helen, but I want to drink.
Same.
So I have a beer from a local brewery called Brew Gentlemen. If you went back and watched the um oh my God, the Anthony Bourdain show where he kind of like the one that was on CNN where he kind of traveled around to different places. He
Yeah,
did he
I
did
remember
one in Pittsburgh.
Bourdain, God.
Yeah. He did
Uh,
it in Pittsburgh, and Brew Gentleman is mentioned in that piece, but not very complimentary. Because they are in a section of Braddock that is kind of, not where it's where John Fetterman was from. That's where he was the mayor.
oh,
And um they their beers are a little expensive for, probably somebody in that town that just wants to go get a beer somewhere. It probably is a little much for them. But I mean, the people that run I thought it was kind of bullshit that they got sort of run down because it was like, I don't know. I've been there a bunch of times. All the people that run it are very nice. It's a dog friendly place. I mean, it's
yeah,
whatever. I mean, everything I've had by them to this point, I've liked. So it was just sort of like,
yeah. You know, like and respect Anthony Bourdain, or liked and respected. Still, we were talking about him in past tense.
yeah,
Um,
he didn't say it, but it wasn't him who said this, by the way. He didn't,
I don't. I think some of his takes on food and restaurants are like a little off times. I
yeah.
thought that he really was very into emphasizing the importance of immigrants, especially Central and South Americans, in the kitchens of the U.S. Like, if
Mhm.
I'm just going to say, if all these mass deportations take place, restaurant industry will collapse overnight.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, among others. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he do this weird ranting about like vegetarianism and environmental concerns sometimes, and I think like he had a hatred of Guy Fieri, which I felt was a little unwarranted. Like he can be like Anthony Bourdain did come from money, and he could be kind of a snob in a way that was a little weird, where it
I
felt
agree. Yeah.
like he kind of um was very into kind of like grubby little places to eat, which is great. I love those
Mhm.
too. I don't know. Sometimes it felt like whenever someone was like trying to make something a little fancier, he was a little unnecessarily harsh, which sounds like was maybe the case here.
It was like it was a comment somebody who was interviewing said, and I was just like, that's unfair. I mean, I get it, like I get it that you have sort of an like a little bit more of an expensive brewery in a place that's kind of run down financially, but it's also bringing people into Braddock because that's a very popular brewery. They're very popular. And so and they're moving to a bigger place in Braddock. So it's like, it is kind of good that they're bringing money into the town because it needs it.
Yeah, and even like, even working class people want a little treat sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
um, Hammerheart, I guess maybe fit that description. Like, okay, so Hammerheart's not stupid expensive, but like a Hammerheart beer at the tap room costs you more than like a Bud Light or whatever. And it
Yeah.
was in Lino Lakes, which I don't think is like super poor, super run down, but it's like kind of out of the suburb and like, there's just not a whole lot out there. I
Yeah.
think mostly known for like they they passed um some like I don't know, some kind of town declaration declaring English as their official language. So
Oh,
I guess
good. Right.
they supposedly known for being like kind of crypto racist, but
Yeah.
yeah, big destination and like yeah, like there were like metalheads and weirdos from the Twin Cities in there, obviously, but like also like dudes in Carhartts, they just want like kind of like a big fucking smoky beer as a little treat.
Yeah, and I mean, and the comment this guy made about the beers, he was like, "Oh, it's you want to pay $8 for a beer." It's like, well, that's one of the beers. They have other beers. Like they have beers that are a little bit less pricey. So
Like $8 for a pint is, I don't know. I feel like that's pretty standard everywhere, like $6 to $8
yeah,
in
it wasn't like I'm like if you think that's like obscenely priced, that's you should try some other places because you're gonna pay more than that.
for something that's not like a American macro brew. I feel like that's like kind of on the higher side of average, but mostly pretty average. I don't know. Maybe I'm too
Yeah.
eh.
Well, anyway, this beer is called Mr. Automatic. It's a classic English style robust porter. It's 6.7 alcohol by volume. And it's got a little robot man on the front. And um yeah, their cans are kind of like tall and skinny. Is this a 12 ouncer? I don't know. Yeah, it's 12 ounces. Okay. Anyway, but I'm drinking it out of a Descendants of Crom glass because Descendants of Crom is next weekend here in Pittsburgh. So if you like doom metal and all different types of underground metal, it's a 2-day fest that I think you will enjoy. And this is bubbling everywhere. So let me get a towel. Ah, it was my fault because I think I carried this thing a little sloppily up the steps. Yeah. Anyway, so nice and dark and rich looking. Nice head. Let's see what it tastes like. Yeah, it's really good. That's nice. Um, Kind of nutty, kind of toasty. Um, the bitterness factor is pretty low. Um, it's there, but it's not, you're not going to pucker drinking this thing. Ooh, that's good. It's nice and smooth. Um, I sometimes run into like, this isn't the most, from an alcohol standpoint, the strongest porter in the world. And I notice a lot of times with those porters, and the same thing with stouts, like they tend to be a little on the thin side, but this isn't. It's nice and frothy, and I like a nice thick liquid in my mouth, Helen. I think we both know that. And so this is, yeah, this is paying the bills or whatever the fuck. Yeah, this is really nice. This would be a good fall sit by a fire beer if it ever gets cold. Um, yeah, this is really nice. Nice and a little bit of warm in the chest. I'm starting to get that now too. So like a little bit of like the what do you call it? Like the sort of the liquor effect where it kind of warms your chest up. Not too much, but just a little bit for it to be nice and comfortable and soft. Yeah, it's a good beer. I like it. It's fucking worth $8. Whatever, whoever that guy's name was who ran them down in that episode. It's just like, why? Why are you doing this? It's small business.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I feel like I don't mind paying somewhat fancy lad prices for decent beer. Also, like I'm just thinking that in light of I'm going to Norway in about a week and a half. Jesus.
Whoa, really? That I didn't realize it was that soon. Holy shit.
Eh. Uh, so we may have to figure something out with time zones.
Yeah.
I will be in a hotel, so I can just stay up and do whatever, I suppose. But yeah, so $10 is kind of the standard there, and that's for like the piss beer. So like anything like higher, like somewhat more potent is going to be closer to 12, 14. So like I feel like we Americans maybe are a little spoiled with how lightly alcohol is taxed and priced.
Yeah. Lex and I went to the AEW is a wrestling promotion that's kind of like the rival to WWE. So they were in town Wednesday to do it like their television show aired from here. So Lex and I went to that show and I bought Lex a Blue Moon at that show and it was $9. So if you want to bitch about, I could buy a Blue Moon the same type, the same size at the fucking convenience store for $3. And so like I got three times upcharge. So give me a break about an $8 beer.
I remember a tall boy of Bud at Maryland Death Fest, like
Oh yeah.
a 24-ounce tall boy, so like kind of bigger than the usual. But yeah, that was like $19.
Yeah. I paid $9 a beer for a Troganator there.
Yeah, they're um the two things that maybe have stayed my hand as far as going back to MDF is like all the drinks and shit are super expensive. And also like there's just enough distance between venues that it's kind of a pain in the ass to walk around.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. If people are going to complain about beers, go to a sporting event or something like that and buy a beer and tell me what you're and I don't care. To me, like buying a $9 beer is not a big deal. And so I don't care. It wasn't like, oh my God. But it's
Yeah,
like for the people bitching about a small business for what they're charging for their beer, like go to a fucking hockey game and tell me how much you're spending on a beer.
right. Yeah, like I bought like a Summit, which is kind of the local like I don't know if it's technically a microbrewery or it's at least considered like a mid-level craft brewery. Like
Sure, sure, yeah.
I'm sure probably have one local to you as well. Like it's pretty okay. It's the beer you get at airports, right? Like you
Yeah.
know what but yeah, I paid like $12 for like a plastic cup of Summit there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just take that for granted. It's a big event, and they want to come like barking at brewery owners for like overcharging, and it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so many other ways people just get nakedly hosed, and like I think generally, if I'm paying $8 for a pint of craft beer, like that's about what I expect.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I have gone on for too long. So I made a last minute decision here, and I was originally going to go with a one from Wild Minds, which I think I'm actually going to do next week because it's very funny.
Okay.
But I went with this one from Modist, which I featured before. It is called Pretty Metal.
Well, look at that.
An oak aged dark lager, kind of light. It's 4.5% ABV. It's dark lager, God.
Easy for you to say.
Pilsner malt, roasted barley, midnight wheat. Oh, secret dark wheat.
Yeah.
Uh, up with some hop varieties I don't recognize. I should probably learn about hop varieties.
I
Whatever.
know. I should too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people are watching us going like, they should talk about hops more.
I feel like the only person who regularly watches us is my college buddy Ben. Hello, Ben. How are you?
Yes.
Doing
He's the
pretty,
one who comments a lot, right?
huh?
He
Yeah.
comments a lot, right?
I think he may be the only one who comments at all.
Yeah, I know. I owe him some responses to some of his comments. I've gotten lazy, so I'm sorry.
And, yeah, we went to college together in Asheville, which has recently been on the news for getting fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
Thankfully, most of the people I went to college with no longer live in the area,
Yeah.
and that do are okay. So
That's good. Yeah, that's
we, yeah, the death toll is up to about 200 now, and like it is a mind fuck seeing like sections of the highway. I remember like driving home from town, back to my dorm, and
yeah.
like that section of the highway is underwater or
Yeah.
what? Like,
It's a
you
good
know,
thing we don't have climate change.
yeah. And like all the people that are just like, well, move somewhere else. It's like in the fucking mountains, man.
I know. Oh, sure, that's easy. Let's just pick up and move. Like some people can't.
Yeah, no, when I first exercising, late in life in my early 20s, I remember I would run along the river trail a whole lot, and it's fucking nuts to me to see like the trail where I ran, that river burst its fucking banks and like just destroyed like half the area.
Yeah.
Nuts, man. Anyway, sorry, that's a bit grim,
No,
but I've got this beer in front of me. Very, very dark,
it is
inky.
a.
Looks like a porter almost, and it's got this, yeah, I got this very substantial head. Boy, that's a lot of malt. Mm. I like a malty beer though, so that's good.
Oh, okay. Things are working in my brain now about things we talked about, and now I know we talked about this beer sort of last week without you telling me what it was.
Hmm. We didn't actually, because I just bought this on Friday and it was an impulse purchase. So,
Oh, never
we,
mind. I'm a moron.
um, yeah,
Maybe it's a thing. Okay, good. Sorry.
I'm just drinking out of my standard. I don't know. I think I've called this my RPG character tavern glass. So, um, yeah, this kind of tastes like hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't have the roastiness or the nuttiness of like a porter or stout, and but it does have like a robust, very robust malt flavor. Almost reminds me of that Goya malt soda, if you've ever had that.
I've never had it. I know what you're talking about, but I've never had it.
It's like an alcoholic version of that, um, which I like quite a bit. There's also a really cute ad for this that I will send you after we're done talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, another solid one from Modist. I will keep like whining at them passive aggressively through these videos they don't see that I really want their Mexican chocolate stout back.
Oh, fuck.
You know what? It's fine because La Doña makes a really good one.
Yeah.
So we'll scratch that itch for now, I guess. But it was really good and they should have it again.
We'll bring it back
Yeah.
officially from us. Um, Shirts.
Oh yeah. This one I got when I was in Norway for Beyond the Gates 2022, I think. 2021. I don't remember anything. Anyway, so this is a pixel art of a church on fire, and it
Yes.
says there was fire. Um, I remember the name of the clothing brand. I will look on the label though, because I know they definitely have an Instagram account. This came from my friend Otto's friend Ronnie, I want to say. I don't know.
Friend of the.
Cool guy. Um, does a lot of neat art stuff. Funny little dude. Love him.
But yeah, send that link out because I would like to check those out too.
Got like a bunch and like I told him his shirt designs were cool and he just gave me this one, so
Oh,
which is
nice.
with him. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think um I can't crane my neck that far. It's printed on the inside of the neck. It's not a tag, so
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. I I'm wearing a midnight shirt, but the whole reason I bought this shirt and the whole reason I'm wearing it is it has the Steelers defensive line from the 1970s on it, and it says "You Can't Stop Steel," which is one of their songs. And the Steelers play tonight, so I figured I would put this on during it.
oh that shirt knows a little because I think Midnight's fine, but like
Yeah,
I feel like I there's like a dozen other bands in that vein that I like better. But
agreed. Yeah,
great shirt. I love it actually.
I
So
love it. Yeah, yeah. I saw somebody at a show wearing it, and I was like, "Fuck, did you?" I thought somebody made it, and he's like, "No." He's like, "They have them on their Bandcamp."
no
I'm
shit.
like,
I didn't know. Well, I guess Midnight's just one guy. I didn't know he was a sports boy, sports lad.
and it's funny because they're from Cleveland.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah, our rivals. So I don't know. Maybe he's a Steeler fan. I don't know.
a good pun. You gotta go for it, eh? Just like
Yeah,
the couch slut JD Vance shirt.
the best. Yeah, they're the best. They just reissued their first album, and I know Jaden was saying last night that they bought it, and the color they got was I think cum splattered.
Fuck yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh God. I hope they're here for the noise festival that happens every year. I stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch them just white knuckled it, because I'm usually a pretty early riser.
yeah,
So yeah, it just was like slamming a Red Bull, just like kind of crossing my fingers, but it was completely worth it. I loved every minute.
nice. I said we went to the AEW show. Lex and I went on Wednesday. It was the first wrestling show Lex has ever been to. And what's funny is we got there, like the main show starts at 8. Like they'll tape matches before it for like some of their other shows, but then 8 o'clock is like the live broadcast. And there were two fucking incredible, at least going into this, matches that were going to be on this show because it was like their 50th anniversary show. So there were two matches that really should have been like main events of pay-per-views that they were bookending the show with. And so we were we were like trying to get merch in their merch section. This is a rant for another day. AEW needs to work on their merch table. It's a disaster.
Yep,
Um,
I will say, and just a little plug for First Wrestling, their merch tables like it's run by one girl. I don't
mhm.
know. She has fantastic hair, but she runs that thing with an iron fist and
Yeah,
all like has a good variety and just fucking slams people through that line like
yeah. Well, it's funny. They had one merch stand for 4,000 people. Made no sense at all. One merch stand. And they brought like 5 or 6 t-shirts.
for God's sake.
And the people that were in the main events, they brought shirts for one of the guys, but the other 3 guys, no shirts. And I'm
Dude,
like,
just stupid as shit. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. It's just it makes no sense to me. It's like, why are you not like load this shit up? You just they just signed a new television deal with like Warner Brothers Discovery. Like you have fucking money. Like you're not destitute. The guy who owns the place is a billionaire. Like get a warehouse or something. Like this send more shirts. One of the shirts they had was a guy who's retired. Yeah, it was just I'm like what anyway. So we hear a match come into the ring, and we know it's not the main show yet because it wasn't 8 o'clock. And we opened the curtain to see what it was, and it was this guy Sammy Guevara, and we're like, fuck this match. Because in my head, I'm like, Lex's first live match is not going to be a Sammy Guevara match if I can stop this in any way. So we got to our seats like in enough time for like the main show to start. And so the first match was Ricochet against Will Ospreay. And I'm like, that is a dream first match to see live. Will Ospreay against Ricochet. Did it have a shitty finish? It did. But who cares? It was fun to watch and they did a lot of crazy things and it was a good show. We had a good time and yeah, wrestling, live wrestling, go see it. It's fun.
Yep. Can't agree there. Once again, I'd like to plug First Wrestling.
Hmm.
Not only do they put on consistently entertaining matches with kind of a interesting lineup of very big, very fun personalities. Um, I was wearing my hat, which says "Just can't melt steel beams or this big old dick," and their announcer loved it so much he took a photo. Yep,
I love it. That's the fucking best ever.
they picked a sex pest out of their match. I think I've
You right, you told me that. Yeah, wasn't it Harmar Superstar?
Yep, Harmar Superstar was at a match Matt and I were at, and then like someone kind of said to the announcer, like, yo, this guy's here, and like he gets on the mic, he's like, Harmar Superstar, you gotta go. We don't want you here. Like you are a creep.
I love it. I love it. Throw them out. That's what you got to do.
Shame that guy tainted by association the new MST3K, which I actually thought was pretty good, but hey, what you gonna do? Like
Yeah.
it's one of those open secret things, but I think it was only really known like regionally.
Yeah, I didn't know until like yeah, like the story kind of broke.
Right, yeah. Like I mean, I not to be cliche, but I got kind of skeevy vibes from the guy, but like whatever. Sometimes I do, and it's completely unjustified. So it was like, well, whatever. Maybe it's nothing, but as it turns out, it was something, I suppose.
Assholes. Yeah,
Yep. Unfortunately, they are everywhere.
they are. Um, have you heard this? Oh, we're running out of time. Holy shit, I didn't realize we've been on this long. Have you heard this Blood Incantation record yet?
I listened to it a little bit, very good. See, the problem is like four albums came out last, no, five came out this past Friday that I
Those are
love.
good. Yeah.
I think it was them. Uh, I don't know if Glacial Tomb was then or earlier, but I love them and they hadn't put anything in a while, so I was excited about that.
Yeah.
This band Wingtips, they're kind of like this goth pop band from Chicago. They were the first band I saw after like COVID restrictions started easing. So they've kind of got a special place in my heart for that.
Yeah.
And
I think I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Flash Mode and stuff like that. I definitely check them out. They're very cool.
Yeah.
Um, and The Rope, they're a local goth band. Really, really good. Um, their singer does probably the most credible Andrew Eldridge impression I've ever heard. And since Eldridge's voice is a bit shot these days, I think kind of that should be your go-to for classic Sisters of Mercy um kind of sound. Oh, new 1349.
Yeah.
And new Undeath. God, just
Rip to Shreds. They just put a new one out. I'm going to talk about a record that I think might surprise you that I'm going to talk about just because they're more of a popular band. But whatever. The new Black Dahlia Murder, pretty fucking good. Because obviously Trevor Strnad from that band passed away, and that talk about a fucking hole, of having to replace somebody like that guy.
yeah.
It took me seeing them live to realize that all the vocals on that record were one guy, not two people.
Uh okay. I mean, I don't want to just fucking spit on a dead guy, but I didn't really care for that band.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I'm saying like it's sort of an unexpected band for me to bring up.
I
Uh,
guess I think, and this is a little unfair of me. For all accounts, Trevor was a pretty decent dude who
yeah.
struggled a lot with some personal demons, but he did write a column for Decibel, I think it was, and recommended some records. And like, I remember there was some shit ass death metal band he recommended by saying like, "Oh, this is really misogynist," and he meant it as a recommendation. And I'm
Oh, that's not great.
what are you doing here? Would you say the same if like the band was really racist or like super
Yeah,
like gay? Like, man, I don't know. That's why I never really fucked with Black Dahlia Murder, but
I understand that. Yeah.
whatever, we all put our foot in our mouth sometimes, and like
Yeah.
by all accounts, like Trevor was like basically a pretty decent guy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad they're continuing in a not embarrassing way. Boy,
It's
power.
not like their guitar player took over vocals.
Yeah, yeah, that
It's
makes.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, how about Power Trip touring with fucking Pantera?
I don't even they're dead to me. I fuck you. Fuck Power Trip. Why? Because
When he was alive, specifically, did not do that for obvious reasons.
yep, he wouldn't take the Superjoint Ritual tour. Oh, I guess they're just Superjoint now. Wouldn't take that tour because he didn't want to be associated. Now Riley passes away and the band is fucking fine with it. So out of here.
Bullshit. Yeah, I'm embarrassing confessions time. I actually really like the album Cowboys from Hell.
It's fine. I mean, look, there
Uh,
was
my,
there was a time
my excuse is I grew up in a trailer, so
there was a time when Pantera was we didn't know, it was a different time. We didn't when I say it was a different time, I mean you didn't know all these things about bands that we know.
whisperings about that for years
Yeah,
before Earth on video, right?
yeah,
But like I always kind of assumed probably those guys were like shitheads because it's like they're from rural Texas, you know? Not to be too much of an asshole about it, but like kind of your environment grow up in does affect you as a human being. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
you I mean, okay, whatever. I also basically grew up in shit kicker country and like I turned out okay, but like like some people I grew up with it very much did not. So
Oh, Sam, yeah. That's why I've excommunicated people from my life and I feel nothing. Speaking of feeling nothing, go have 100 beers. It's been the beer video. We'll be back next week. And don't jump around on a stage like a fucking moron.
no, don't take